There are 3 types of toxic women that men must avoid at all costs. Not because they are inherently bad, but because they carry an energy that can drag you to the very bottom. When a man gets trapped in the wrong relationship, he doesn't just lose time, he loses focus, ambition, and his very strength. A strong man doesn't get destroyed in a single day, he's worn down slowly, piece by piece, through meaningless arguments, unnecessary apologies, and fake tears. If you've ever woken up feeling exhausted for no reason, if you constantly feel like you have to rescue someone instead of feeling peace, then this is your wake-up call. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing isn't losing the woman you love, it's losing yourself in the process of trying to keep her. The first type of woman you must be extremely careful with is the woman with psychological or emotional issues, BPD, bipolar disorder, depression, or unpredictable mood swings. She may be someone who has been hurt, betrayed, or gone through deep trauma in her past. However, the problem is that she has never truly healed, and because of that, every relationship that follows becomes a battlefield where she releases all her unresolved pain. At first, she might captivate you, because she has depth, emotion, and a certain fragility that makes men want to protect her. She knows how to talk about pain, how to evoke sympathy, and how to make you believe that if I just love her enough, she'll finally be okay. But the truth is, the more you love her, the more drained you become. One minute, she's sweet, playful, and loving as if you're her entire world. The next, she's angry, silent, or crying uncontrollably over something trivial you can't even understand. She lives in extremes, loving passionately and hating fiercely, and you'll never know which side you're on that day. A delayed text, an accidental glance, a careless joke can set everything off. Living with someone like this, you'll find yourself slowly changing. From a confident, calm man, you turn into someone constantly guessing her emotions. You stop being honest, stop expressing yourself, always afraid of hurting her feelings. You start apologizing for things that aren't your fault, taking the blame just to keep the temporary peace, and little by little, you lose your identity. They're like emotional vampires. They drain your energy by pulling you into their emotional storms. One day, you realize you've lost motivation, lost interest in your goals, and lost the peace you once felt around the woman you love. She makes you believe that only she understands you, but in truth, you're trapped in an endless emotional loop with no way out. Most of these women are lonely, and by their 30s, they still wander from bar to bar, still searching for a man strong enough to handle them. They were once captivating in their 20s, charming, full of energy, and always the center of attention. But over time, the men who came and left all realized one thing. Beneath that charm lies an instability that never stops. They don't want love, they want a place to unload their pain. And you, unknowingly, become that place. They're not evil, they're just not ready to love anyone genuinely. But if you try to save them, you'll drown with them. Because they don't want to change, they just want someone to stay and witness their pain, so they can keep feeling loved without effort. And that's the psychological trap that keeps many men from ever walking away. Remember this, you cannot build a future on a heart that is in chaos. A woman who is not balanced within herself will never bring peace to you. She will love you, then hate you, then love you again, and then blame you for every negative emotion she feels. At some point, you'll hear the words, "You hurt me," even though you did nothing wrong. Some men stay because they think, if I leave, she'll fall apart, but in truth, she's already fallen apart, you just don't have the power to put her back together. And your job is not to be her therapist or her healer. Your job is to protect your energy, keep your clarity, and not let yourself be pulled into someone else's emotional storm. I once heard a saying that's painfully true. When you try to save someone who's drowning, they can pull you down with them. In love, that's even more accurate. Because when you give all your strength to save them, you have none left to save yourself. And when you're drained, they're often the first to leave because they need a new source of energy to keep themselves going. Don't get me wrong, compassion is good, but compassion doesn't mean self-sacrifice. A woman with psychological issues needs professionals, time, and the courage to face herself. No one can be healed by love, because love is not medicine, and you are not her savior. If you're in a relationship like this, pause for a moment. Look closely, are you still yourself? Do you still feel peace when you're with her? Are you constantly choosing your words carefully just to avoid another explosion? If the answer is yes, then that's not love. That's emotional entrapment. Remember, a strong man is not the one who endures, he's the one who knows when to walk away. Because real strength isn't about holding on to someone, it's about having the courage to choose peace for yourself. Don't let your kindness become an excuse for others to unload their pain onto you. Don't let your empathy turn into chains. Because in the end, you can't succeed in life if every day you're fighting battles inside your own relationship. When you're with someone who constantly needs you to heal them, you'll have no energy left to grow yourself. You'll lose your creativity, your focus, and eventually your confidence. And that's why so many talented men fail, not because they're weak, but because they loved the wrong person. Don't stay with someone who needs healing every single day. You weren't born to be a life raft. You were born to be a man with direction, strength, and purpose. Use that energy to build your future, not to patch the wounds you didn't cause. When you walk away, you're not being cruel. You're choosing clarity. And that's what a mature man must learn, to leave the place that weakens you, so you can keep the strongest part of yourself. The second type of woman, the insecure woman who constantly needs validation. At first glance, she seems harmless, maybe even charming. She smiles brightly, speaks with grace, and radiates energy. But behind that polished surface lies a deep fear. Fear of not being beautiful enough. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of no longer being noticed. And when someone lives off validation, every relationship becomes a competition over who loves whom more. You'll recognize them quickly. They obsess over their looks to an extreme. Plumped lips, perfectly curled hair, every detail of their social media photos edited to perfection. They take pictures everywhere, post every day, and wait for those likes as if they were tranquilizers. They always want to hear you say you're so beautiful. I miss you. No one compares to you. And if you forget to say it just once, the storm begins. She'll ask you, do you still love me? Why didn't you text first? Do you notice I've changed? These questions sound sweet, but they're symptoms of a restless mind. She doesn't believe in love, she believes in constant reassurance. Whenever you don't provide enough, she imagines the worst, that you're bored, that you're talking to someone else, that she's about to be left behind, and you begin living in emotional reassurance mode. Every day becomes a cycle of apologies and comforting. You turn into a mirror she uses to see whether she's still worthy of love. And slowly, you realize everything revolves around her happiness, her sadness, her moods while you fade away, like a background character in your own story. These women are often obsessed with perfection. They don't live for the moment. They live to be admired. A new dress, a flattering comment, a glance from another man all become fuel for their sense of worth. But when that fuel runs out, they panic, and you, the man beside her, will pay for those empty spaces inside her. She might get jealous just because you smiled at a female co-worker. She might check your phone while you sleep. She might even fake catching you just to test your reaction. To her, control equals safety. But in truth, that's what suffocates you. A relationship where you must prove your innocence every day will inevitably drain you. You know what the most ironic part is? These women are often physically very attractive. Sex with them is intense, emotional, as if she's pouring all her energy into it just to keep you. But after the door closes, the insecurity returns. The cycle begins again: control, doubt, reconciliation, jealousy. And before you know it, you've become a man who just wants to keep the peace. Many men think loving this kind of woman is a test of masculinity, that if they're patient enough, she'll eventually change. But that's an illusion. You can't fill a cup with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you praise her, love her, or reassure her, it's never enough because her foundation is fear, not love. Some in this group are single mothers, women who've been deeply hurt and now try to compensate through attention. They appear strong on the outside, but are fragile inside. And if you're not careful, you'll get pulled into their narrative of pain. You'll think, she just needs a bit more love, but in reality, there's no such thing as enough. When you love a woman like that, you pay with your peace. Because when she's happy, you can breathe, but when she's sad, your entire world collapses. You start living by her emotional rhythm and forget your own. And the worst part is, you begin doubting yourself. Am I being too cold? Maybe I really am the problem. Maybe I should care for her more. That's the moment you lose control of your emotions. An insecure woman doesn't need you. She needs attention. And when you're no longer exciting, she'll seek another pair of eyes to replace yours. Not because she's unfaithful, but because she can't stand the feeling of being forgotten. To her, being desired matters more than being genuinely loved. Be careful with the kind of person who makes you constantly prove yourself. Because love is not a competition about who cares more. A healthy relationship doesn't need daily proof, it needs trust and calm. If you find yourself constantly keeping the peace for someone who's always anxious, stop for a moment. Ask yourself, is this still love or just endurance? Because once love turns into emotional responsibility, it's no longer love, it's a burden. The lesson here is clear. Don't mistake outer attraction for inner value. A woman who's beautiful and seductive but full of insecurity will disturb your peace of mind. Because someone who always needs attention will never bring you calm. And you can't build a life with someone who's afraid of themselves. A mature man looks beyond appearances. He doesn't choose the woman who makes his heart race. He chooses the one who brings his soul peace. Because in the end, it's not her eyes, smile, or body that keep you. It's the feeling that you can be fully yourself when you're with her. If she makes you feel like you always have to prove something, that's not love. That's your sign to step back, not because you're weak, but because you understand the value of peace. The third type of woman, the dark and resentful one. This is the most dangerous type, because she doesn't just carry chaos, she knows how to use it as a weapon. Women like this don't seek love, they seek power, not to be loved, but to be in control. When she appears, everything seems perfect, she's confident, seductive, and says exactly what men want to hear. But behind that smile lies cold calculation. To her, a relationship isn't a connection, it's a chessboard, and you are the first piece to move. This kind of woman often shows up when you're at your weakest, when you're lonely, fresh out of a breakup or lost in life. She spots the cracks in you and enters through false empathy. She makes you believe that, finally, someone understands and values you. But in truth, that's just the first step in her manipulation. Once you open up, she slowly begins to take control gently, subtly, so much that you don't even notice. It starts with questions that seem harmless. Where are you going? Who are you talking to? Did you think about me? Then come the sweet criticisms. I'm just worried about you. I'm afraid of losing you. I just want you to be better. You think that's love, but in reality, it's the net closing in. Once you step inside, she starts to reshape everything: how you dress, how you talk, how you interact, even the friends you keep. Bit by bit, she turns you into a version of yourself that she can control. And once she has control, the real game begins. She doesn't need to yell, fight, or scream. She only needs silence, that cold, punishing silence that makes you feel guilty even when you've done nothing wrong. She knows exactly when to cry, when to tremble her voice just enough to make you believe you're the one who's wrong. Every time you try to leave, she breaks down, cries, apologizes, and promises to change. But when you come back, the cycle repeats, only this time. It's sharper, deeper, and more painful. Someone once said, there's nothing more dangerous than a woman who's lost faith in men but still wants to love. Because she no longer loves to connect, she loves to revenge. Many women in this group have truly been hurt, maybe by an absent father, a cheating lover, or a broken marriage. But instead of healing, they turn their pain into a weapon, and any man who dares to step in becomes a target for wounds he didn't cause. One of the most dangerous tactics of this kind of woman is role reversal, turning herself into the victim. She can do wrong, yet make you feel like the villain. If you react, she cries. If you stay silent, she calls you cold. If you walk away, she tells everyone you abused her, betrayed her, that you're a monster. She understands perfectly how society protects women, and she uses that as her shield. Some even go as far as faking stories, calling the police, or smearing their ex's reputation just to satisfy their thirst for victory. I once witnessed a friend, a kind, successful, genuinely loving man, get destroyed by a woman like this. She smashed his things, hurt herself, then called the police claiming he assaulted her. Within days, he lost his job, his reputation, and his spirit. The most painful part wasn't what he lost, but realizing that the person he trusted the most was the one who wanted to see him fall. The dark woman doesn't respect kindness. She only respects power. The more you yield, the more she despises you. The more forgiving you are, the more she tests your limits. She'll drag you into endless emotional wars just to prove she can make you lose control. To her, your pain is proof of her power. If you've ever found yourself losing your temper, shouting, or doing something completely out of character, stop. That's the sign you've been pulled down to your lowest vibration, and when you reach that point, she's already won. The only way to escape a woman like this is not through talking it out, not through healing together, but through absolute silence. No messages, no explanations, no comebacks, because every word you say becomes another weapon. Every tear you shed becomes her triumph. The only way to win is to disappear completely from her reach. I know some people will think it's cruel, but the truth is you cannot negotiate with darkness. When someone uses pain as their source of energy, you cannot save them with love. You can only save yourself. And sometimes, walking away isn't cowardice. It's the bravest thing you can do. Face reality, some women don't want to be loved. They want revenge. Some don't seek happiness, they just want others to feel the pain they once felt. And if you become their target, you can't win that game because the rules were made for you to lose. A wise man doesn't try to prove his innocence. He simply walks away. He understands that dark energy cannot be neutralized by kindness, only by distance. When you go silent, when you stop reacting, when you walk away, that's when she loses her power. Remember this. Brother, women like that only respect absolute strength. If you're weak, you're prey. If you're calm, you become the mirror that forces them to face their own fear. True strength isn't in winning arguments. It's in knowing when to leave. Don't let your kindness become your wound. Don't let your emotions be exploited by those who've chosen darkness as their home. Because when you let them in, they don't just take your love, they take your faith in the world. And losing faith means losing everything. The lesson here is simple. When you encounter someone radiating dark energy, don't try to heal them, leave. You weren't born to be destroyed by someone else's hatred. A man's true power lies in stepping away from chaos, keeping his heart clear, and continuing forward without looking back. Not all women are bad, but there are certain types who, if you don't avoid them early, will steal your peace, your strength, and your future. A man's life isn't measured by how many women he's loved, but by how many times he's known when to stop. Remember, you don't have to be anyone's savior. You only need to protect your energy, your direction, and your clear mind. Real love doesn't drain you. It helps you grow while keeping your inner peace. So don't chase someone who makes you doubt your worth. Choose the one who makes you feel safe being yourself. Recognizing toxicity is the first step toward living consciously, pursuing value, and keeping your masculine strength intact. If you've watched this far, perhaps you felt something, maybe an awakening, maybe a quiet sadness from what you've been through. But remember this, every wound has value if it makes you wiser and more discerning. Don't let your past make you bitter. Let it make you smarter. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel because here, I don't teach men to become cold. I teach them how to stay calm, stay strong, and stay true to themselves. Brother, stay awake and never let anyone manipulate your heart with tears or guilt. We'll meet again in the next video where I'll help you see the silent signals women never speak. But every man needs to understand.